If you're thinking of coming to the Sapphire Coast area on a boating trip, you've come to the right place. I'm going to show you where all the good ramps are, and we'll just have a little squiz and see which ones are good, which ones are bad, and which ones service which areas. Alright, let's go. Okay, we're going to start off with the Womboyn ramp, which is the furthest south, and it's down near the Victorian border. Be aware it is a little drive in from the Prince's Highway. Most likely you're just going to be using this ramp if you're staying in the local area. So you definitely can get out offshore, out of the Womboyn Lake. There's a bar crossing to deal with. It's probably a better option if you are predominantly fishing offshore, just to use the Eden ramp, which I'll show you next ramp. As you can see, the ramp's really well maintained. It's got a little cleaning table here. I don't think this is very old at all. As you can see over here, they've got a few tie-ups. Looks like for the resorts that are close by, so if you're staying there, maybe you can tie your boat up there. Boat sizes here, I'd say around the 5.5 meters to 6 would be comfortable launching from this location. If you've got a bigger boat than that and you want to get offshore as well, it's better to launch at the next ramp I'll show you at Quarantine Bay. Other than that, it's a really clean ramp. There's no burnouts or anything anyway. You've also got a little bit of lighting over the ramps, and there's also adequate parking. So let's check out the next ramp. Alright, this is an absolutely great ramp, this one, especially if you want to get offshore. It's located here in Quarantine Bay, and it services the Twofold Bay area, and it's straight out into the offshore. It's one of the deepest bays, I believe, in Australia, and it's also surprising that it's only got the one boat ramp. There's another couple of boat ramps in town, but they're private boat ramps, so this is the one you'll have to use if you are in the local area. There's a bunch of parking down the bottom, guys, and also there's heaps of parking all the way up the hill. So you're not going to struggle to find a park here. You might have to do a bit of walking though. The ramp's really well kept. It is hidden behind a break wall, but you will find there's a little tiny bit of swell if you don't like getting your back tyres wet. So there's also a little bit of algae growth right down at the low tide mark, so another thing to watch out for. But overall, really good ramp. And I don't use this ramp a whole bunch is because there's not a little beached area next to the ramp where I can pull my boat up. It's just a little bit easier for me the way that I set my boat up, and especially if I'm kayak fishing and I'm setting up the sailing kayak, I need a little bit of area just to set that up. But otherwise, if you're backing off and just parking around on the jetty, it's awesome. As you can see here, it's really pretty down here on Twofold Bay. There is also a large naval wharf here. There's a few rules and restrictions around that, so approaching it and stuff like that when there's a Navy ship there is a bit of a bad thing to do. So just read up on that if there is a Navy ship there, otherwise you're pretty good to go, I believe. The cleaning tables here get quite the workout, so you can see all these freeloaders over here waiting for a free feed. It's really worth coming down and just checking out the cleaning tables, even if you're just driving by, because sometimes there's big sharks pumping around and also some really big rays, and it's quite a little sight for people to have a look at if they've not seen them before in the water. Alrighty, here we are at our next ramp, Pambula ramp. So it's a little bit out of town. The parking is plentiful, but it's tight in places, as you'll see. It's ocean accessible, and it's via a bar. It's boat size for launching here. You could go up to around the 6 meter mark, and it's pretty shallow for the first few hundred meters in the channel, and also up near the mouth of the river there's quite a few sandbars which probably do move around. And yeah, check it out. Important to note that I am filming this on a weekday, so that's why it is so quiet. It does get busier on the weekends. Also with this ramp, it's a one-way ring road, so it's a clockwise direction for launching, just to keep everything running smoothly. The ramp's usually really clean, as you can see. I think they pressure wash it down. It's also a bit muddy and icky down there, but I've never really launched there at really low tide. There is this little area here for you to pull your boat up. It is a little sandy there with a few oyster covered rocks to watch out for if you've got those fiberglass gel coated boats. And here you can see the parking's a bit grim and tight. Alrighty guys, on to our quirkiest little boat ramp, the Merimbula boat ramp. So it is offshore accessible. You need to do a little bar crossing, and if you enter at low tide, just be cautious because sometimes it can get pretty clogged up and shallow there. You also need to go under a low bridge, so you'll need to get your rods out of a rocket launchers perhaps, and if you're in a hard top and you're trying to get through there at high tide, you might struggle, so definitely do a recce there to see if it'll suit your boat. If you are heading into the lake, they call it the top lake, you'll find out that the last little section at definitely a low tide is very shallow, and it's covered in shells too, which tend to chip up your prop. There's also a cafe in the top lake if you're that way inclined, so you can pull up at the jetty there and get a feed. There's no fish cleaning as well at this ramp because it's underneath the flight path of the local airport, so you're going to need to clean your fish over near the bar crossing. They've set up a fish cleaning station there, and you can just pull your boat up to that and clean your fish, and everyone is happy and no planes fall out of the sky. Alrighty, so you can see here at the rest of the ramp, it's a 3-lane boat ramp, and there's a nice little bit of sand on the other side there, so you can pull your boat up to that, and it remains reasonably accessible right down into the low tides. Alright guys, here is the best place to launch yourself if you are in a kayak. It's just down the bottom of Lakewood Drive, and it's the best way to get into the top lake without having to deal with the hefty current that is sometimes rushing down the channel from the launching ramp, so this is the best one to get out on the top lake. You can also hire a boat here, and there's another place called Boss Outdoor in town that you can also hire boats and other stuff. Alright, next contender, it's Wallagoot boat ramp. It's a bit of a hidden away area, and it's a little bit forgotten about, so a little bit of a hidden treasure. Pretty good if you're getting out there and about in the kayaks. The ramp is really shallow, and it's also covered in like the green weed that people try to feed to luderick and whatnot. The area is also National Park, and it will attract a daily use fee, and the rangers do their job out there, so just be cautious if you try and dodge that. But otherwise, it's a nice little area. It's a bit like the Mile Lakes if you've ever been up there, and good for a little paddle around. And here's some of the tyre tracks of the last time it was used. So it does look like it's seldom used here. Word on the street, guys, is that you can get some pretty good hauls of prawns up here, but in the last few years it hasn't been fishing too well for prawns. Next ramp is our one at Kalaru, and that's access out onto the Bega River. It's a pretty small ramp, and it does have a little bit of evidence of some kids just mucking around with burnouts with their cars and stuff like that down here. There's not much lighting, but there is a few little houses around, so I don't know if you'd want to be parking your car here overnight. Not that it's a high crime area by any means, but you know, again, up to you. There's also a little area you can see here where you can just drag your kayak down on a trolley and launch it. I've not fished this area, but I'd be happy launching it between a 5 and 6 metre boat down here, no worries. I'm pretty sure this is the wee bit luderick like, correct me if I'm wrong, but there it is. If you're fishing for luderick, you can come find it. And again, this ramp looks like it's just recently been upgraded. It looks within the last 10 years to be replaced, so again, it's in really good nick, and same with the pontoon. I'm digging these things at the end of the pontoons, the really low areas where you can get in and out of kayaks, so they're pretty cool. Thumbs up to whoever invented those. And here's the other boat ramp that services the Bega River, the Mogareeka boat ramp. It's a nice little area down here. There's plenty of parking. There's also a nice little bit of parkland over on the opposite side, and plenty of places to pull your boat up on nice sandy areas around the place if you're having like picnics with the family, etc. So I'm not 100% sure whether it's a viable option to get out into the ocean from Bega River. While it is open, the bar crossing looks pretty sketchy, so it'd have to be a judgment call on your part to cross that bar or not. Again, a nice little pontoon down here. It's not overly big, so hopefully it doesn't get too busy here over the summer, but as you can see around the place, as I said before, there's plenty of nice little places where you can pull your boat up on the beach, and further downriver you'll find a few more little areas that are nice to set up and have a picnic, etc. on the beach. This is probably not the best ramp to leave your boat, trailer and car overnight, as you can probably see, there's quite a little bit of evidence of shenanigans around. Like the pontoon here looks like someone's burnt a bin out on it. There's holes in it where people have had fires down there. Also, it looks like it's the local donut pad, so that's probably not what you want smashing into your boat trailer late at night. I'm sure they wouldn't leave a nice note to let you know who did it. But anyway, just something to think about. Here's our lucky last ramp, guys, and it's the one you need to use if you're at Tathra and want to get offshore. It's got a weird little bar crossing, and we'll have a look at that shortly, but it is located just here. Plenty of parking here, and it's also a directional sort of ring road to control traffic, so it's not chaos. There's a lot of people come down here during the summer months to have a swim, so it might become a little bit of chaos down there. And it's also the start of a walking track that goes up into the national park here. I'll show you the start of that shortly. But plenty of parking here. It really looks like it's a good one to hit at high tide, and also I'd be looking to nab the lane closest to the jetty, because the other one is pretty close to the bottom at low tide. I'm definitely going to go back to this ramp and try and have a little fish out the front there on my kayak. It looks like a good little one to do that when it's not too choppy out front. Just in here is where I've seen a lot of people swimming in times gone by when I've come down to visit this ramp. And plenty of cleaning tables here once you come back with your haul of fish. If you're in the two right hand lanes, I wouldn't want to be going too hard at the reversing when you're coming off your trailer, or you might end up in the rocks directly behind you. But it is reasonably deep there, and I can imagine in the high tide it would be ample to give you motor clearance. But at the low tide you can see that it's covered in quite a bit of the green weed, and it would be ultra slippery. As you can see at the entrance, there is a bit of breaking wave activity for you to deal with on your way out, but it doesn't seem to be too angry. Well, it wasn't on the day, but I went there anyway, so again, just something to be aware of. If you don't like bar crossings, the best one to do is your Eden ramp, but you're pretty far away from this Tathra area if you're launching down there. If the weather gods aren't playing the game while you're up, it is a nice little area to come down, have a picnic with the family. And there's also a bushwalk that's really close by, just up here on the left. I'll show you that now. So here it is. So it's a really pretty walk, guys, and your family will love that while you're out fishing. So you can just send them on their way and meet them when you get back. And here's the nice little picnic area just down here. Alrighty, we are donezo, friends. So if you do have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. It's a really nice area, this whole Sapphire Coast area, for you to come up and have a boating holiday. all the way through the year you'll find fish somewhere if you're a fisherman, and the water is just so clear and the air so clean. So we would love to see you up here. See you next time, guys. Bye bye.